everybody, Josh RV Nerd here with Bish's RV, taking a look at some serious updates to the 355 Eagle model I haven't been able to get my hands on and do a video on this like for the last couple years, and it has changed significantly since its inception. My last video I think is very painfully outdated on this one. They've really redesigned the middle room in a way that I personally really like. I think it provides more long-term use and flexibility, where this could definitely, like, let's say right now, you've got kids who are like in their teens. Well, you know, a lot of kids at that age, they don't really fit well in most bunk rooms. You know, they're too tall for most of the beds, not to mention the fact that a lot of people tend to finance a purchase like this, and then, you know, once the kids move out, they go, oh man, I guess we don't need this bunkhouse anymore. And here you are with this big payment on an RV that doesn't really work for you. That's where these guys come in right here. This is an RV that can work both for you right now as well as long term. And I've often felt and said for a long time, I think various middle bunk bonus room, office dens, whatever you want to call them, they're one of the most like long-term viable floor plans I've ever seen out there. Because if it is mostly just one or two of you, you've got an awesome living room, because most bunkhouses, the living room is crap. The RVs that sleep the most heads seat the fewest butts usually, and that's not the case here. This is something, you know, if you're using it like a work camper, like a mobile office, there's really kind of an office already built into this one. It doesn't require modifications. Or let's say you have an adult child, say with special needs, or a literal mother-in-law. You need a mother-in-law suite, or your dad lives with you now, and you know, it's just best if we're all together. This works for traditional, non-traditional families. This works for couples. It works for like almost everybody. Assuming you got the truck to tow it.
So the thing with these is there's a lot to cover. I could probably do a really like 2-hour deep dive on this and probably still miss a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of little fine details that go into Jayco's, and Eagle specifically. Eagle has become one of the most progressive and dominant fifth wheels out there. It's like Eagle, Reflection, and Cougar. They're in this big shooting match right now where they say, anything you can do, I can do better. And it means that you folks at home benefit because basically, you know, they're causing one another to always constantly improve. Up top here, we've got the whisper ducted air system. This RV standard has a 30,000 BTU air system. We're looking at the modern farmhouse decor today, but there's also the brown on brown craftsman decor, which lately has kind of been growing on me, but I still really enjoy the light, bright, open, airy colors and feeling of this one right here. In the farmhouse decor itself. Now, you might notice all the windows overlooking the campsite, and this right here is one of the major differences between the 355 and the 357 Eagle mid-bunk models. They are very, very similar, but this one has maximized door side windows, whereas the 357 has some decent door side window coverage, certainly, but it flip-flops the entertainment center and that theater seat right there to give us like a little camp kitchen convenience center and a wet bar on the outside of the RV. Although you'll see that this one still has a little outdoor fridge and a little kind of cooker. Now, as long as it's staring me right in the face, one of the cool things on this one is this does have the Jayco drinking water system, which is not to be used like a human gerbil bottle feeder thing. So, yeah, that would obviously just be where... It was the eye contact that made it creepy, wasn't it? We'll talk more about that in just a little bit. This is a nerd-preferred thing over here. I love it when manufacturers... First of all, I prefer carpetless slides. I don't mind a carpeted slide. That's not a deal breaker for me, but I like it when they make the slide floor match the main floor. It makes the whole RV look and feel bigger, cleaner, just sharper. And you have a choice between a table and chairs, where it's 2 chairs that sit there all the time, and then 2 fold-away chairs, which can actually be kind of nice if you're going to use this like a middle bunk bonus room, because one of those folding chairs could be your office chair. But you see that is a no-knee knocker dinette right there, which personally, I know I sure like. You don't see the square, so you're less likely to hear the air. Don't see a square, won't hear the air. Something like that. I got my own phrasing screwed up. Because this does have whisper ducted living room air. The bedroom air is also now whisper ducted, which I think is a major update that they put into these, because they just standardized everything effectively. Now, over here at the theater seat, one of the things that I don't always showcase, but I do talk about, is I've got a little center console storage place there. But it's the perfect spot
to like keep phones, you know, when you're not using them, or your remote controls. Now, one of the other things where they've stepped up kind of silently on Eagle, Reflection tends to do this as well. They're using smart TVs. So that Insignia, big like, it's 49.5 inches diagonal, but we're just going to say 50-inch TV straight across from you, brother. Does that not... Remember those old Dolby commercials where it's like, dun, 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 and like the guy's chair was like getting blown away and he reaches down at the last second and grabs his drink? Like, you're on Boardwalk and Park Place right there, but it's a smart TV, so if you have some decent internet connectivity, you could hook that up to your Netflix and Hulu and YouTube and every other thing. The bedroom TV is the same. Looks like Eagle is using a little bit bigger screens than Reflection on here, though. That doesn't... I'm not sniping. They each do things the other one doesn't. That's kind of one of the funny things about all these different brands here, you know what I mean? The cabinetry is all lumber core and pocket screwed with hidden hinges. Again, very common and normal in this price point. There's certainly a few lesser expensive fifth wheels where you may not have to, you won't necessarily have all those qualities. But on the back here, you see that hide-a-bed. There's also household and USB outlets on both sides of that. And then getting around here, there's storage behind that pivoting TV right there, which is something I prefer. Do you prefer the televator with the window in a floor plan like this, with the maximized window coverage on the door side, or do you prefer it done like that with a swing-out TV? With this one already having enough windows, I kind of prefer the extra storage over here on the neighbor's side of the RV. Now, you may have noticed that closet can also become a pantry, a bit of a closet, if you will. You get to choose which one you want. And then down inside that island, under the solid surface countertop, you saw like a big Culligan jug next to a trash can. That is the bottle, basically, that's going to feed the gerbil watering system that we saw over here earlier when you're doing the human mind-brain experiments. Mind-brain. Anyway, so Eagle and Cougar, they're both using floor-ducted heating to give you maximized even heating and airflow, whereas brands like, say, Reflection or Hemisphere, Heritage Glen, Arctic Wolf, etc., they've gone with no ducting in the floor and gone with cabinet side ducting. Now, they can still have effective heating systems, but you might have kind of warm spots, cold spots. It sort of just depends. Refrigerators. You have two very significant choices between refrigerators over here. Next to that bigger, now convection microwave oven. Did you catch that update right there? That is, I think, another one of those awesome but sneaky high-class updates they've applied to this. And I know I'm moving a little more quickly today. I've got a lunch date. My wife said she'd let me take her out to lunch and even allow me to pay for it, and I don't want to miss that. But what I was saying, over here next to the refrigerator, what we're looking at right now is I think the biggest in this class, 21 cubic foot residential refrigerator. Not only is it larger and faster cooling versus the, I think they're calling it like a 13 cubic foot four-door gas electric two-way, but it automatically includes an inverter to run 5 or 6 outlets in any Eagle floor plan. In this case, 6 outlets, also powering the outside refrigerator, which typically those things don't run in transit. That being said, that makes this more of a park use trailer. If you wanted to do some off-grid kind of boondock camping, I would actually recommend going with the gas electric two-way and getting their solar package and potentially their off-grid package, which expands your propane capacity and does some other things for you if you want to spend some serious time off-grid. I'll touch on that one later. By the way, did you know this living room is big enough that it's certified for TikTok dancing? All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ain't that something? And if you can believe it, that's actually how I first, got the attention of the woman that's now my wife. I made her laugh. The problem was I was dancing at the time, so, that doesn't make me feel great. Anyway, what I do want to show you, though, is there are outlets over here in this little kind of coffee bar, coffee nook, whatever you want to call it. They're just easily missed. This also is the BM Pro command system, which it's one of my favorite touch smart systems on RVs because you don't have to use it like a touchscreen smarty pants thing because it has a lot of your main functions like awnings and slides and whatnot all available right down here in a direct access panel. You can Bluetooth to this if you want, and I do recommend doing that at least when you're traveling because this is the integration point for your now standard factory TPMS, which I think is very, very cool. Now over here in the middle,
what we're looking at here is the kind of loft style middle bunk room. We've got the loft above. We'll get a look at that in a minute. I like that kind of open air support design. Notice too, you've got the little kind of night light up here, which I think is just a nice little touch. There's a matching little accent light to really kind of, you know, warm the room up a little bit on the other side over there. But what this one's going to do right here is it gives us that extra hide-a-bed where, you know, if you're using it as a bunk room with that bonus bunk above, which is very cool. That's something I think they were really taking notes from the North Point 377 Big Brother to this. That extra flip bunk right there, although it's not extremely large, it is extremely popular because of the extra little feature and function that it can offer you. It also has one of my favorite little things over here. First of all, this is like kind of sprung so that it's easy lift and lower, but it's got the move bunk, get out the way kind of latch system over there. And this is where I was saying this one can become a very functional, flexible model because this middle room can legitimately, I think, function as an office. Or you see the TV hookup over there and the little thing saying, hey, you can mount a TV on the wall. This would also be a perfect place if you want to kind of come up with a second entertainment center, or again, if you have an adult of any variety in here is like a second bedroom. Speaking of which, is it cool if I crash for a while? But don't worry, I'm sure I'll figure something out. What you won't have to figure out is how to do some twist 'em up bathroom yoga up in here, because that has plenty of space. And can we all give Eagle a hand for continuing to do the thing they've always done by putting a door on the bathroom storage instead of just leaving it open air so that your stuff can fall out on the floor in transit? They're not doing anything new or different. They're just doing the same thing they've always done. They're just doing it well. That is like a rain-protected vent fan system up there, and just behind that, you see that little blue light. During the day, it won't do much, but at night, it will cast a glow in here so you can see what you're doing. Now, let me see if I get this right. This is the way that this shower surround is patterned. It's patterned like subway tile arranged in a herringbone pattern. Is that correct? I think I finally got those words correct after like 10 years of trying to do this. I don't know why it's so tricky for me. By the way, in the bathroom, you're always going to get this interesting little naval blue kind of accent offset. When you change decors in this RV, it's only the living room that changes. The bedroom and the bathroom, the upper deck, will always look just like this. And finally, when it's time to crash at night, remember that is also a smart TV. And remember, we are dual whisper ducted, so even up here in the bedroom, you don't see the square, so you don't hear the air. Not near as bad anyway, which means you don't have to crank the TV up to 11. And when the compressor kicks on, it's not likely, you know, to wake you up. But look at how tall that entire like dresser tower is. It's not even just like a small dresser. It's huge, you know? A lot more room in there for the socks and undies. You don't want to, normally I'd say Crocs socks and undies, but I don't think you want to put those in there. Now, if you notice, we've got the king size bed optioned into this one. There is also a queen, and when you get the queen, you get nice little side stands built into the bed slide, which is an extra thing most brands don't do. But did you notice how I kind of showcased, even with the king bed, there's still good room to walk around in here, and those household outlets are always you know, right next to the bed there. So if you do need to come up with like a CPAP solution, there's enough room there. You could put a little stand beside the bed and be able to power your machine up. By the way, Darth Vader used CPAP machines way before it was cool. Now, looking at this thing in road mode, the bathroom's on our right, just like that Creedence Clearwater song. Anyway, the ladder does kind of pop out to get you up to the loft. I realize I almost skipped over that after I said we'd come back to it later. Thankfully, I remembered just in time. Now, you want to be careful with that ladder because it's at the top of the stairs. So at night, you know, you don't want to trip over it and go ace deuce down the stairs. You notice how there's two separate pads here. Normally I'd lay them out, but I kind of wanted to show you that this is fully finished underneath those right there. You know, and if you, the pads are a little bit thicker, and if you wanted to get those out of there totally to use this like attic storage, nothing says you couldn't do that either. Now downstairs here, the access gets tricky, which is very normal with any sort of middle bunk, bonus room, whatever. When this is closed right here, you're you're pretty much cooked. I mean, there's not a whole lot you're gonna do with that room in that case. But at least you can open that door though to like throw some duffel bags in there. But our big super slide over here in the living room, it really comes up close here. Now, if you are real skinny, you could maybe send one of the kids in there to like get into the refrigerator or whatnot, because you can see that is mostly accessible. But I want to kind of throw this idea at you here. If you're at a travel stop, there's no reason, assuming you can get the steps down, you shouldn't be able to open that slide up and get in there.
Because if you're going to get inside, you have to put these folding steps down. And at some point, they're going to be sticking all the way out like that as they arc their way down. So that's the worst case scenario. Well, the big super slide doesn't stick out that far. So assuming you can get the steps down, you can definitely open the slide up, you can definitely get inside, you can definitely get to the refrigerator, the bathroom, the master bedroom, you can throw some duffel bags in the middle room. So it's somewhat travel stop friendly. It takes a little bit of doing, but it can be done. Just extra little thing I like to showcase for you here. Hope you like that extra information. And I'm going to say this as professionally as I can. Dude, that's a lot of awning space. If you're, if it's a rainy day and you're getting cabin fever and you're just really stuck inside this thing, you're gonna be glad you've got all that extra canopy space right there. Now up front, this is the default front format, but one of the options that you can get on this is the Eagle Dry Camp package. And that will actually gen prep the front compartment and add an additional 30-pound propane tank. Where, even if you're not going to add the generator, some people will add the dry camp package just to get the extra, propane tank all plumbed into and added into the RV. But there is space in the RV. Let's say in this default format right here, you just wanted an extra tank. Even if it's not hooked up, remember your first two tanks are hooked up to an auto changeover regulator. So you can always just swap in that third tank when you need to and not have a break of service. The RV's hot cold camp rated, forced air heated enclosed underbelly, thermal foil layering going through the belly, up the nose, across the roof. That's pretty common description for higher class fifth wheels like this. There's something else they're doing in here though besides that enclosed protected docking center. They are actually hot cold camp testing their RVs for 0 to 100 degree functionality, and then that extra thermal layering, that extra radiant barrier right there, helping, separate from a thermal standpoint the bathroom and bedroom from the outside here. Now, a couple little touches I think they nailed in here, and it's the little stuff that I think makes the big differences, but keeping the disconnect and your auto leveling switch up high, away from shifting cargo, giving us motion activated lighting on both sides of the pass-through and household outlets on both sides of the pass-through. Just extra little things so you can do more on your campsite. And notice how this doesn't have that kind of carpety, felty sort of pass-through stuff that can just hold moisture and turn this into an organic mildew farm. Because if there's one thing I love in the morning, it's a big old warm cup of mildew. Ugh. I'm not a screamer. I think I turned my own stomach saying that. I apologize. I'm almost ashamed. Now, what are we looking at over here? That little platform? Keep that in the back of your head, because that is basically like a, either you could use it as just a prep table outside or like a griddle or cooker mount right over here. Down below that drawer, you see the J-port. That is basically a 2-inch receiver hitch built right into the side of this RV. That is, like grown adults could stand on that thing together and not overstress it. It is seriously bulked up and reinforced. That is nice. The thing is, when you are cooking on it, you do definitely have limited access to that drawer there, so plan accordingly. If you've got one of those giant, like, Outback Steakhouse sized, spatula things, well, it's going to be difficult to get out of there. Now, this RV has the residential refrigerator, which means it automatically has that inverter built into it. You can also get the inverter pre-wired into this RV with their solar package. One of the really cool things here, though, is when you have that inverter, it is running on this floor plan 6 different outlets. 2 in the bedroom, I believe 2 in the living room, or like kitchen, something like that. Yeah, because you've got your 2 in the living room, and then basically both refrigerators. Because this has an outside fridge, that refrigerator will function in transit, whereas most outside refrigerators do not. Now, speaking of not functional, one of the things I gripe about all the time are manufacturers who mount their speakers like all the way up at the top of that awning up there. But you notice how Jayco doesn't do that. There's like 6 rapid fire examples. I haven't counted. I don't know, maybe not 6, but multiple rapid fire examples of Eagle doing Eagle things right here. First of all, they were one of the first manufacturers that I've ever seen, and still one of the very few, who mount their outside speakers down here at skirt level so you can hear them at your campsite without blowing the neighbors away with your, what are you listening to today on your campsite? Like, what is your go-to campsite playlist? Because I need to bulk mine up. Anyway, the other thing is here, they're using the zero gravity David Blaine magic steps. So, you know, these things don't fall down on your head and, you know, crush your Chihuahua. I don't know. Anyway, Doberman, it doesn't matter. They'd hurt if they fell. Now you don't have to worry about it. And you see that extra large handle right there, giving you something more substantial to grab on, you know, when you're coming and going. Things like what they're doing here with their entry door, you see that on like the larger class North Point size Montana Solitude Paradigm size big fifth wheels. You don't usually see that in something like this, which technically we used to call mid-size. That being said, these things are getting pretty swanky themselves. Something Jayco really led the charge on, and a lot of brands still have not caught up upon, are their Goodyear Endurance radials that they're using here standard. 87 mile an hour rated, American made and sourced, and now factory standard tire pressure monitoring included on these, which is cool. You've also got their 4-star ride and handling package along with the Goodyear tires. You're getting the MoRide shock dampening suspension unit right there with the wet bolt fasteners, which if you don't know what that means, basically your gears right there, your the stuff that hooks the tires together for your suspension, it can be lubricated so it doesn't just grind down on those bushings over time. So if you really do want to spend a lot of time on the road, you've got better tires, you've got a more serviceable running gear, and you have turn signal safety lighting. That was a perfect segue. I wish I would have remembered to do that like every time. But let's say you flip on your right-hand turn signal. With most brands, only that tail light blinks. So if some idiot like me isn't paying attention, you know, I might swoop in beside you, changing lanes, not realize you're trying to get over to take your exit. Well, with the turn signal safety lighting, all of the lights along this side of the trailer and extra lights at the top corners of the RV blink with your turn signals to give the dingbats like me better understanding of what you're doing with your RV. Now, additionally, we are prepped and ready not just for a backup camera, but also side view cameras. The thing is, sometimes people worry, okay, well, if my marker lights are blinking, won't that cause the camera to clip in and out? Don't the cameras get their power from the, marker lights or your side lights there? And the answer is no, they won't, because Jayco actually ran a totally separate power line for the camera system and the lighting. That's frankly why I think a lot of manufacturers don't do this. And that is one of the reasons that Jaycos are almost never the least expensive product out there. There's a little bit more going on under the skin that you can't see, which tends to make them a little bit heavier, which tends to make them more expensive. And maybe you're more casual camping. Maybe you don't need all those things. We certainly have hundreds and thousands of other options for you among our Bish's RV lineup, but maybe you do want that stuff. Maybe you're looking for the last RV you want to have for a very long time. This could be a very good candidate for you. Now this is actually 6-point electric auto leveling. That's I think a really awesome improvement they made on this model versus years past. This used to be a 4-point system here. The underbelly is, I mentioned, forced air closed and heated, but you might notice there's no bumper on the back. Some people like to keep their sewer hose there. Well, good news is the good people at, Jayco and the Bluebird, they thought of that. And by the way, while I'm walking over to what I want to show you, Jayco has a mascot. His name's JJ the Blue Jay. I don't know where they come up with this stuff, but they've got a big suit that a real person could put on and act like an idiot, like a mascot. And I've been asking for years to get my hands on this thing. Would you like to see me do one of these reviews in the JJ outfit? I'm not sure it'll ever happen, but I'd be willing to give it a go, and maybe if enough people want to see it, maybe they'll send it up here. I don't know. And now that I've stalled enough time, I can get up here to show you what I wanted to show you, and that is the fact that this RV does now, for the 22 generation, the 22 model year, I believe all Eagles now have a little belly hose tube here. That also includes the models above this, like North Point and Pinnacle. They have adopted one of these. So you always have a solid place to put your sewer hose. What I like about these is they are large enough typically to still keep the fittings on your sewer hose, whereas if you just try to shove it in the bumper, not all fittings tend to fit back there. And I believe it was Johnny Cochran who said, if the fittings don't fit, you must have quit. Now up top here, up on the roof, one of the first things I want to talk about is that they're not using OSB roof decking. Jayco doesn't typically use a lot of OSB roof decking, and they don't, or any OSB decking really, they don't use any of it really in their 8-foot wide products. We are actually walking on plywood up here, which gives us a couple benefits. It gives us a greater load bearing capacity. Also, let's say in a wicked storm, Mother Nature throws a stick. Oh, look at this. Look at this. Mother Nature threw a stick on top of that RV over there. You see it hanging out on its roof. Well, if Mother Nature did that with enough force, certainly that stick could potentially cause some damage up here. Or if you go under a tree branch and you didn't realize. My point is, if the roof membrane gets torn, even if you took great care of it, Mother Nature and things can happen. If plywood gets wet, it will swell just like OSB. But once it dries out, plywood tends to mostly return back to its original shape. OSB just turns to mushy mush, like applesauce made out of wood. Gross. Woody sauce. I don't know. But you get the idea. So it holds more weight, and it gives you more time to, like, fix it, basically. Also, you see the roof solar prep plug over here on the right. They've been doing that since, like, 2015. Once again, that's another thing they were really ahead of the curve on. And up here, you also see this is that bathroom vent that we looked at. It does have a rain blocking like roof cover built right onto it. So even on a rainy day, the whole family's in there using that space, you know? You don't have odorous Maximus wafting its way through your kitchen and living areas. Odorous Maximus. Wasn't that the name of one of the guys from Guar? And I'd be curious to know, you tell me, do you prefer there's versions of middle bunk rooms that are true just middle bunks, where it's just beds stacked up in a middle room? Or do you prefer something like this, maybe with a loft, with the hide-a-bed, the desk function, the flexible function one? Maybe it's not as awesome of an easy sleeper, but it also provides all those other benefits. Which way do you prefer to go? I'd be kind of curious to know. And if you'd like to see pricing and availability on one of these, I always leave you a link in the video description. You can see current pricing and availability on these wherever we have them parked, however they're optioned, because it could be thousands different between different shipping distances and different equipment packages on these, and that will always give you pricing on individual RVs right now instead of whenever it happened to be when I posted this, because sometimes people watch this a year later and go, well, what's the price? Well, it's different than it was when it was published, unfortunately, that's for sure. And as always, if you appreciate pointing out the good with the bad and everything in between, having the little towing chats and all that stuff in our videos here, hit that subscribe button if you haven't. I'd love to have you on the next one. And if you're an owner, I would really love it if you hung around, and as we go through these videos, you know, share your input on the experiences you've had, not just with me, but with everybody else, because frankly, owner input absolutely is the most valuable and trumps anything I could hope to put out there. And until next time, everybody, remember, we don't do hidden dealer fees. We just do everything else. Sorry for the convenience. Take care, stay safe, have fun, and best wishes from Bishes, everyone.